fundamental rights, all those I can say, all those things have been done by Yarapandra. It is only and only by the central authorities to achieve what? To achieve faster decision making as well as to achieve uniformity with respect to decision making also. See, general ನಾನು already ನಾನು discuss ಮಾಡಿರೋದನ್ನ ಬರಿಬಹುದು. Easy to implement, easy to take decisions, uniformity, time will come down. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಬರಿಬಹುದು. But I mean, it is in some keywords or the new keywords. It is neighborhood first policy. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ it is look east, followed by act east policy, look east, act east policy. ಇದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೆಸ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು exam ಅಲ್ಲಿ you should introduce all those things. Random ಆಗಿ ಬರಿಬಾರ್ದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ features. Now specialization, it is we call it as centralization. Now first one, it is introduction, which includes definition. Second one we call it as uniqueness, and the third one we call it as the stats or the facts or examples. Stats or the facts or examples. Now sir, according to LD White, according to, see general bariyangilla illi because everyone will be writing the same thing alva. It is according to a public administrator called as LD White. What is centralization? It is, I can say, it is concentration of administrative decision making from from lower level to the higher authorities. It is concentration of power from it is lower, it is being transferred to where? It is higher authorities. Or as simple as that, concentration of power, it is with the higher authorities, or transferring of administrative law from lower authorities to the higher authorities, we call it as administrative law. Okay now, perfect alva? Yes. Now second one, it is why we need administrative law, or we call it as centralization. Why we want administrative decision making at the central level? It is the first and a foremost one we call it as, it is to take decisions. To take decisions in what manner? It is fast as well as in uniform manner. To take decisions in faster also, at the same time we want decisions in efficient manner also. Okay now, efficient manner also. The third one, stats or the facts or examples coding. It is where centralization is taking place. Can I give an example of, I can say, approach which has been followed by planning commission? Yes or no? It is approach which has been followed by the planning commission. Approach which has been followed by planning a commission. It is the concept of residuary list. The concept of residuary list under 7th schedule. Residuary list under our 7th schedule, followed by NEP. What is NEP? It is New Education Policy of 2020. It is NEP, perfect. NEP. It is Finance Commission grants, perfect. It is Finance Commission, the grants. How do? Exactly, emergency provisions. It is Article 352 to 360. It is emergency, the provisions. Emergency provisions. It is appointment of all India services. Appointment of all India services. Appointment of governor. Appointment of governor. Exactly, yes. The army protocols. It is citizenship rules, fundamental rights. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ? It is citizenship rules ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು, fundamental rights. All those I can say, all these things have been done by Arapandra. It is only and only by the central authorities to achieve what? To achieve faster decision making as well as to achieve uniformity with respect to decision making also. Yes or no? Yes. Yeah, number of examples is there, but more than sufficient. Yes. This bit unique again under ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು ಸರ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ unique ಆಗಿ ಅಂತ it is direct taxes okay okay illa the direct taxes though it is collected by union but the power is being given by states alva but ಅದು ಬರಲ್ಲ okay okay alva ಇದು ಸಾಕು and the next one it is the next one what is the need of centralization what is the need of centralization ಏನಕ್ಕಪ್ಪ centralization ಬೇಕು why are we moving towards centralization the first and foremost one we call it as lack of trust on the I can say lower authorities howdo ilvo nothing but it is lack of I can say lack of trust on the lower authorities nothing but I'm the best principal anta nothing but central best now my decision best anta it is we call it as lack of trust or we call it as it is I am the best attitude ನಾವೇ ಪಂಟ್ರು ನಾವೇ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇನ್ಯಾರು ಮಾಡಕ್ ತಾಕತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಈ ತರ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ it is nothing but that is leading to what it is more centralization or concentration of power in the hands of I can say only few yes second what's the need second one in some cases don't you think it is local authorities won't be having expertise yes or no it is example ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ it is lack of expertise by the local authorities are they expert with respect to maintenance of national security are they expert with respect to it is are they expert with respect to it is national security are they expert with respect to diplomacy or foreign relations are they expert with respect to it is advanced science and technology cutting edge technologies now ivella illa antandaga yaar automatically power hold madbekiga nothing but the central government or only the few or one who has an expert knowledge in I can say centralized decision making okay alva yes it is third one really exactly it is long term visions it is exactly the need here is to bring in the long term vision the matartivi long term vision exactly you can also talk about the space related issues defense kuda matadbodu CSIR related you can talk yes exactly yes see general ಆಗಿ ನಾನು already ನಾನು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದನ್ನ ಬರಿಬಹುದು easy to implement easy to take decisions uniformity time will come down ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಬರಿಬಹುದು but I mean introducing some keywords or the new keywords the next one sir ತಪ್ಪ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತಪ್ಪಲ್ಲ but ಅದನ್ನ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ because see first of all topic is generalistic ಆ generalistic ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ನೀವು you won't get marks it is the long term visions are being brought in nene nodi it is Donald Trump has been sworn in as the again the new president band takshnane he has withdrawn from WHO he has withdrawn from Paris agreement and he has boldly said that it is one who are coming to USA only on work visa it is H1B visa ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ಬರ್ತಾರೋ they won't be eligible to get green card ಅಂತ nothing but ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಬೇಕು ಕೆಲಸದಿಂದ ವಾಪಸ್ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅಷ್ಟೇ nothing but you should never plan to settle in USA that is the biggest threat to I can say Indian citizens major agi nothing but they are planning to go to USA ಬಟ್ ಇವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸೇ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಐಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ಗೆ ಟಿಯಾಗೋ ಟಾಬಿಗೋ ಆರ್ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸೇ ಜಕಾರ್ತಾ ಹತ್ರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಎಸ್, is it good or bad andre? It comes with majorly good for India. It is they need to work in India. See why talent should get wasted. Sir, adr jotege it is India should also take up bold initiatives to provide them with adequate benefits. Wapas bandorge NRIs ge we need to provide with adequate benefits. See eston sati see avaru tappu antalla, it is alle ಒಂದು 20 ವರ್ಷ ಇದ್ದು I have adjusted to that, I can see it is climate adjusted to that education system. ಆಗ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರ ಸರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಸಿ ದಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಬಿಗ್ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್. ಅವ್ರು ಬರಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ನನಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕಿಡ್ಸ್, ದೇ ವೋಂಟ್ ಬಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಕಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಈವನ್ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಬೋತ್ ದ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಟೇಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆಸ್ ಅನ್ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಟು ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ ದಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಅಂಡ್ ಟು ಮೇಕ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಡ್ ಬೈ 2047. Yes or no? We need to reap that, I can say, talent also. One kade okay, they are working and they are sending remittances, but at the same time it is for their contribution. Don't you think Indian government should also contribute in return by providing adequate, I can say, housing? It is alone kade create madli, it is Gurgaon or Delhi alone, it is saying that USA colonies in India anta. Yes sir, we can create alva, possibly we can create. Eshton HCZ create madbekadre why can't we create, I can say, it is some colonies in a few states. We can do it, always a possibility though. ಬಟ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅವರು. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಒಂದೇ ರೀಸನ್ ಕೊಡೋ, ದುಡ್ಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಸಿ ದುಡ್ಡಿಗಿಂತ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ, ಮನ್ಸಿಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಸಿ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಶುಡ್ ಆರ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ವಿಲ್ ನೆವರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ವಿತ್ ಮನಿ, ಬಟ್ ಮೇಜರ್ ಆಗಿ ಏನು ಅಂತ ನಮ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಯಾಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು? ಯೋಚನೆ ಬಂದಿರೋರಿಗೆ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು, ನಮ್ ಜೊತೆ ಇರ್ಲಿ ಬಿಡಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ವಿಷನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. Now, sir, it is the centralized governance. Take an example of Donald Trump administration. Nothing but the presidential form of elections is what? It is a centralized administration. Now, centralized administration hodaga, namge ಏನು sir ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ long term visions will also be implemented now. Now, long term, I can say visions with respect to ಏನಕ್ಕೆ? With respect to the society, the social aspect, long term vision with respect to social aspect. The second one, long term vision with respect to, I can say, development of, I can say, economy, development of economy, as well as the sustainable growth also. Sustainable growth also. Okay, alva? Idr jotege exactly, yes, to prepare national policies for the whole country. Uniform policies can be I can say, brought in. Idr jotege, it is why we want this, sir, anta kelidre. It is big budget policies. Example ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ? It is big budget policies ತಂದಿದೀವಿ ಸರ್ ಅಂತ. Online fast. Big budget policies. ಏನು 5G guarantees ಆ? ಅದು ತುಕಾಲಿ 50,000 ಕೋಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟೇ? 52,000 crore rupees. Okay. Green hydrogen hardly 20,000 ಅಲ್ಲ, 20,000 crore, less than 5G guarantee. It is Purvoda ಎಷ್ಟು ಮತ್ತೆ 50. It is perfect. It is ANRF. Exactly. At the first and the foremost one, big budget initiatives under the the first one we call it as, it is Anusandhan National Research, I can see, the foundation. ಎಷ್ಟು ಲಕ್ಷ ಕೋಟಿ? 50 lakh crore rupees. It is, we call it as 50,000 lakh crore rupees. It is under this ANRF, majorly to enhance R&D in the country. Idra jotege, take an example of Ayushman Bharat, the big budget policies, the world's largest. Exactly, Rachita, exactly, Bapu, exactly, yes. Okay, alva? It is Ayushman Bharat, the world's largest insurance scheme anta karitivi. World's largest insurance scheme. Idra jotege, we have, I can say, Gati Shakti. It is Gati Shakti ali 100 laksha koti. It is 100 lakh crore rupees has been integrated into Gati Shakti master plan. Gati Shakti master plan, exactly, Rachita, have included. Yes. Other jota you can also talk about. It is the PM Janman. It is Janjatiya Adivasi Mahabhiyananda, or we call it as the PM Janman, or recent I know the PM Juga. It is Janjatiya Unnat Gram Abhiyan. All these things are considered to be the mega projects. Now, mega projects iddaga automatically this should be controlled by, is it a local administration or central administration? It is central administration, because the local administration, they won't be having much expertise to control such big policies. Okay, Alva. The next fifth one, we can talk about to bring in uniformity, to bring in specialized knowledge. General exactly, it can be Solar Alliance also, International Solar Alliance, the Paris Agreement, such issues, SDG goals, Sustainable Development Goals 2030 actually. Net zero by 2070. It is, we call it as Panchamrit targets. Panchamrit target, the bold initiatives. Foreign policies, exactly. Foreign policies. Foreign, which is the most important foreign policy we have? It is neighborhood first policy. Adherite, it is look east. Followed by Act East policy. Look east, Act East policy. Either jotage, it is, we have a major important policy during the JL Nehru, which is that I can say, it is, we call it as, it is the 5, I can say, foreign policy initiatives. It is Panchasheel targets. Again, all these things have been brought in by, it is the centralized authorities. Yes or no? Very the need now. Okay. The third one, it is the salient features. Because after 2:30 kuda nan mata class 2:30 to 5 irutte. Adukoskara saku aramu mana. Okay, now it is salient features. The first salient feature we call it as decision making. The power and control. Not even keywords gothirbekiಲ್ಲಿ. The power and the control. The third one we call it as hierarchy. Ignore this, you film centralization or decentralization. It is decision making is being done by Yarili. It is the top hierarchical. It is, we call it as the top hierarchy. Where I can say the middle and the lower level will normally act as what? It is the implementers. Will normally act as the implementers. Yes. Okay, Alva. Done. How it is only for test series, but offline varor barbodu. This, say nange ashte power irodu. I can do that, but online access nanatra power illa, access illa. Okay, it is the power and control. Now, power and control or authority, we call it as authority. Now, authority lies with, we call it as the top decision makers. We call it as the top decision makers. What about hierarchy? It is hierarchy. Hierarchy will be, it is, we call it as, it is passing of authority from the lower authorities to the top authorities. It is concentration of power. We call it as from lower towards the top. Top. This is our third one. The fourth one we call it as the fourth feature. We call it as, what about specialization? Develop keywords you introduce madlebekili. What about specialization? What about uniformity? What about, I can say, time taken to take a decision? Is it quick or is it slower? And we call it as accountability. See, in the exam, you should introduce all those things. Random features. Now specialization. Will there be adequate specialization in the core, I can see, subject? Yes. It is, we call it as, it is diverse, or we call it as, it is higher specialization. Higher specialization will be there with respect to, it is higher specialization or specialized expertise will exist at the central authorities. Higher specialized expertise, uniformity andre, it is nothing but, it is the policies will be equal and same. Equal and same throughout the jurisdiction. Throughout the jurisdiction anta. Throughout the jurisdiction. Throughout jurisdiction. And the next one, the time taken. The time taken. Now time taken with respect to taking a decision. Is it faster or is it slower? It is faster decision making also. The faster decision making. Now accountability kadme irata, jasti irata. It is, accountability will be more. Why? Because there is clear cut, I can say, decision making. Hello, yaar decision ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ. Now if the decision making is clearly done by central government, obviously accountability yaar irtare? Only central government, rather than, I can say, a number of people. It is, there'll be, it is clear cut. There'll be clear cut decision making will start to take place. Clear cut decision making will enhance anta. Okay na? Idadmele innond solpa nododadre, we call it as, the next one we call it as strategic vision. Strategic, the vision. Second one we call it as the cost effectiveness. The cost effectiveness. Again, will there be good strategic vision or lesser long-term goals? Centralized decision making idre, it is normal agi, they will be going for what? It is long-term decision making. Long-term decision, the making will start to enhance. Exactly online, the quicker. Yes. Can we write top-down approach? Perfect. Baribodu. It is baribodili. It is online is asking about the hierarchical bariboda sir andre. It is, we call it as the top-down approach baribodu. It is nothing but centralization is nothing but we are following what approach? The top-down approach. Whereas decentralization we are following the bottom-up approach. It is illadre we are concentrating or we are pulling all the powers towards the concentration at the higher authorities. At the higher authorities, you can. Okay, with respect to cost effectiveness, with respect to cost effectiveness, it is cost effectiveness. Now is the cost lesser or it will be higher? It is cost effectiveness, nothing but it is lesser cost of decision making. Lesser cost of decision making. Okay, I can say made it some 3, it is for 7, it is some 9. Okay, is beka gela. Yes. The secrecy will also be maintained. You know, on the last point, you can talk about standardization and control. Standardization and control. Now, standard, will there be adequate quality standard? Standard irata uniform standard irata. It is yes, the uniform as well as quality standard will be maintained by central authorities. Example kodtira uniformity and quality standard anta. It is weights and measures. Yes or no? Weights and measures. Take an example of, I can say, conservation of wildlife. Do we have different policies or different states? No, nothing but we have a standardization also. At the same time, we have adequate control also. So adequate control inge sir andre, it is by the people themselves. By the people themselves. Yes. Okay na bariboda. Yes or no? It is, we call it as the first one we have discussed about. It is, we have discussed about we call it as decision making under uncertainty. It is done by the top bureaucrats. Done by top bureaucrats. Sir, yaru sir anta top bureaucrats namu gottillirtakantavu anta kelidre, we call it as at central level we have, it is the cabinet secretary. We have principal secretary to prime minister. It is with respect to security, either we have NSA, we have deputy NSA also. At the same time, we also have what? We also have at the state level, we have the chief secretaries, we have DIGs. Yes, all these personalities comes under, it is the top decision makers, and they'll be normally taking decisions during we call it as, it is uncertainties. Other district level, we have district magistrate. And the second one with respect to, it is power and control. Automatically, if I want to go for decision making, I need to have, I can say, authority alva. Sir, what type of control and authority we have, sir, on the kelidre? We have a centralized authority. We have centralized authority is the namatra. And the third major important one, hierarchy, we call it as, we are following an approach called as, it is the top-down approach. Now, why we are bringing in top-down approach? Majorly to make it uniformity, to make it efficient, to bring in standardization, to bring in cost effectiveness also. Sir, example kortira sir anta keladre. Take an example of, we call it as public, I can say, it is the finance management system. It's a portal. All the finances are being transferred via the portal called as PFMS. It is Public Finance Management System. It is almost similar to Kajane. The two of Karnataka government. Kajane 2 and Kariti. Adhe riti, we have second one, we call it as, it is the decisions of GST. The decision of GST, it is done by a group decisions. Nothing but, it is, though it has been integrating both the center and the state, but decision is done at the central level. Adhe riti, Finance Commission's recommendations. The Finance Commission recommendations. Adhe riti, take an example of, it is judiciary. Do we have decentralized judiciary or centralized judiciary? We have centralized integrated judiciary. Adhe riti, if you take an example of, it is CAG. Again, he has a centralized single member decision making. Sir, you can write a simple example called as, it is the presidential form of elections in where? In USA. Follows a complete 101%. It is 101% centralized dominance. All the decisions are being taken up by, I can say, a president himself. Yes? Okay, Alva. This we call it as the first and the foremost feature. And the second feature we call it as, the specialization. Now, what do you mean by specialization? It is, I can say, integration of what? It is integration of, we call it as integration. Nothing but, I can say, it is the diverse. Integration of the diverse and the cutting edge technological knowledge has been included. Nothing but, it is cutting edge as well as updated knowledge is being integrated. Updated knowledge is being integrated. As a form of specialization. Sir, example example which includes, it is the specialization with respect to the ISRO. It is making cost effectiveness with respect to launching of, I can say, vehicles, launching of satellites at a cost effective manner. Adhe riti, you can talk about development of vaccines. Adhe riti, development of Tejas. Tejas vehicle, all these things can be, it is noted down. Okay, now first one. Second one, with respect to uniformity, automatically uniformity ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. Have you brought any of the rules, sir, in the ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ automatically ಹೌದು. We have WPA Act of 1972. It is uniformity ಗೋಸ್ಕರ. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ we have a single constitution ಅಲ್ವಾ? Indian constitution, again, that is to bring in uniformity. That is to bring in uniformity, followed by citizenship rules. Citizenship rules also. How do you know? ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಹೇಳಿ examples. Okay. Okay, PM Vishwakarma, Swanidhi. Okay, ಮಾತಾಡಬಹುದು. Or can I talk about it is PM Kisan Yojana? PM Kisan Yojana, it is centralized one. It is centralized implementation via DBT. ಮಾತಾಡಬಹುದು. Yes. Again, to bring in, I can say uniformity of the policies. Now, automatically uniformity ಜೊತೆಗೆ the time taken will also be lesser. Time taken will also be lesser.